Hello, my name is Marina Woodward, and this is my presentation about the visual rhetoric of manga. So, first off, what is manga? So, manga is the form of comics and cartooning in Japan. With manga, there are a few differences compared to American comics. So, first off, in Japan, books are read from back to front and from right to left, which is completely opposite from how we read in the United States and from other countries as well. Second, in the United States, most comic books are deemed to be all age appropriate. This is also true for manga, but manga depicts everything from fantasy to slice of life adaptations, which means for slice of life, it means pretty much taking accounts from characters who just are living normal lives, but these normal lives could be pretty violent or anything in between like that. So, thirdly, manga is also published in multiple series. So, for example, Demon Slayer is published in 23 volumes that connect to one singular storyline, while Fruits Baskets, which also has 23 volumes, has other sequels that focus on other characters. So next, what is rhetoric? So my major is writing and rhetoric at the University of Utah, and that is pretty much the writing part of like English. And with the University of Utah, they added rhetoric because rhetoric is a purpose to persuade audiences to change. And rhetoric is also known as an effect, style, communication, and the art of persuasion. So with rhetoric, it's not simply limited to text or anything like that. It's actually rhetoric is in every single thing we see, say, and do. Like, for example, when we see something, we see like billboards. So those are going to influence us to, do whatever the billboard is asking us to do. And, when we hear things, it's pretty much from, our coworkers, our friends, and things like that. And those influence us to want to change as well. So with the rhetoric design in manga, we are focusing on what the authors are doing and what they have to do in order to persuade audiences to care about their characters and their stories. So, what are these elements in these mangas? Well, they are the senses and sequence. So with senses, we are going to focus on emphasis and contrast. And with sequence, we're going to focus on organization, alignment, and proximity. So let's start with emphasis. So first off, this manga is from a manga, called Horimiya, which focuses on this character Hori, who is hiding another part of her life from her regular school life and from her friends. And somebody from her class actually finds out about this second life, and she finds out about their other life as well. So in this panel, we are seeing that Hori is talking to her friend Yuki. And with this, if we look at the second text in the middle of this page, we can see that there's a lot of text, but there is also something going on outside of that text. And that there's emotion showing, and you can see right behind her friend Yuki that there is this little text that says, "Wa," and that's putting emphasis on what that character is feeling. And then in that bottom right hand corner, we can also see more emotion coming from both of the characters, as we can see that there's more text going on outside of the actual text bubble that, Hori still says, but it isn't inside that traditional text box. And we can also, see how the author has written her face, like her emotions and things like that. So in comics and manga, they aren't drawing or being written with every single emotion showing. So with authors, they have to pay attention to what they are putting into these panels to make sure that the storyline is going well, and that when readers read their comics and manga, that they can have a visual of what is going on outside of what is already written and drawn. So with contrast, we are talking about how the authors have used, how authors have distinguished between lines, but also within the manga as a whole. So this is because when any manga is published, it's published in black and white and gray. So authors, when they are drawing their manga, their stories, they have to put certain areas have to be shaded differently in order to put more emphasis on what is contrasting the characters from the scene themselves. So for this instance, we are looking at a manga called Maid-sama, and in this instance, we can see two characters already having a dialogue, but there is something going on from outside of their dialogue that the author has put more emphasis on, so that the characters ultimately have to pause from what's going on to look and see what's going on outside of their scene. So you can also see when we look deeper into that panel, that bottom, that last text box, that there's just these giant words in Japanese, and they are shaded completely different from what's going on with the characters and everything like that, because the author is trying to put emphasis on the contrast of what's going on outside of the already happening situation. So now we are looking at sequence, which is the organization, alignment, and proximity of manga. So the organization of manga is in that traditional form in that picture right there, which is from right to left, and then organized in kind of like an L shape, and how you read that. So that's the traditional organization of manga, so which goes into alignment. So the alignment of manga is very crucial in how the story is presented, because if they aren't aligned correctly, the storyline does not flow very smoothly at all. So the panels have to be drawn in ways that make sense, and that will allow the readers to be like, oh, okay, this is how this is going, and stuff like that. And also, the panels can be drawn in ways that the authors will think that the story will be emphasized within the manga itself. So this is where proximity also comes into play, and that proximity means the closeness in space, in which manga is being a visual text that refers to the use of images and other characteristics and what readers can see. So when we put this into a visual, this is from Attack on Titan, another manga that was actually created into an anime as well. But we can see the proximity, alignment, and organization all being put into play. So with the organization, obviously it's not put in that traditional sequence or anything like that, but this is pretty much how some authors will put their mangas to emphasize certain things. So the alignment of the story is still also in play as well. The storyline still fits because we are still seeing what's going on outside of the character. We are seeing that we are focusing on this certain character, and we see other people outside of the character. And so the proximity in space with this character, authors have to pay attention to whether they want the full view of the character, whether they just want their face, whether they want the readers to see the setting, whether it's from the top or the bottom. So authors have to pay attention to a lot of things when they are drawing or writing the text and things like that. And so with all of these elements put into play, we get this story, when we get these characters, and artists, have to consider a lot of things like setting, character poses to display the emotions, the perspective of the character, angles, things like that, which not normal, book authors have to focus on. But book authors have to just pay attention to what they are writing, if they are writing coherently, if they're putting enough details and things like that, which, manga artists have to pay attention to visually. So when we put all of these elements together, we get these wonderful stories like Demon Slayer, Fruits Baskets, Maid-sama, Attack on Titan, and so many other mangas that are so influential because authors have paid attention to sequence and to emphasis, contrast, and all these things that come together to create these amazing stories. So thank you for coming to my presentation, and if you need any more information, please look at these two websites, and thank you for coming.